Hello, this is John Paval with Access Arts Live on Sunday, April 6th at 2 in the afternoon in Europe, bringing you a special edition update, some background on the finalist in the Wigmore Hall International String Quartet Competition, which will be live streaming this evening at 6 o'clock London time, 7 o'clock European time. That's 1 o'clock on the East Coast and 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast. For those of you who are string quartet lovers, I don't think this is one you want to miss. They have some really terrific contestants who have been through a rigorous week of qualifying for these finals. And what I thought to do, just for a little reality check first, I do not claim to be a musicologist or a string quartet expert. But there are things which you can observe about these three finalists which differentiate them from the other semifinalists very clearly, and which I'm convinced play a role in the fact that they have made it almost to the finish line in this very fine international string quartet competition. So I want to go through them one by one again. We've already talked about them before in earlier live streams, but you may not have seen those live streams. And some of the information bears repeating in order to get at what I think you can see that the winners have that their competitors don't, and at least one choice they made that their competitors didn't choose. So the three finalists are the Opus 13 group out of Sweden and Norway, Quartet Integra, and the Terra Quartet. So these are three very different quartets coming from different places, and I think it's interesting to see how they line up. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about what each of them has already played in the first three rounds. A coincidence, I am sure, is that all three of these quartets, they were in the same preliminary rounds group. They were in group two. The three of them played one after the other on Wednesday morning in the first round of the preliminaries for their group. And they also, all three of them played on Friday, but not one right after the other. And in there were certain required pieces to be played in the preliminary rounds, and there was some amount of choice allowed. So let's start with Opus 13, which is my favorite because I'm live streaming from Scandinavia, and they're the home team. I'm in Stockholm. Anyway, in the first session, they played Mozart String Quartet number 19 and in C, Kerschel 465, the Dissonance Quartet, and then they played Bartók's String Quartet number 2 in A minor, Opus 17. In the second session, they played Haydn's String Quartet in C, Opus 74, number 1. And then they played Judith Weir's String Quartet number 2, The Spaniard, which I think everybody was obliged to play that one. Their choice outside of the required pieces, I think they were required to play a Mozart, but they had a choice, a Haydn and the Judith Weir, the same one. They all played the Spaniard, but then there was a choice, and they chose where they had a choice. They chose the Bartók, which I think is an interesting choice. It's a chance to show off, if you ask me. Then in the semifinal, they picked what I think was a strong and yet a safe choice. They were given a choice. They had to submit a couple. Two choices from the Romantic period, and the one they chose to play in the end was Schubert's String Quartet in D minor, the Death and the Maiden Quartet, which is those who are musicologists say this is a hard one to play. So again, it was a chance to show off how good they are, but also the fourth movement of that piece is so it builds so well, and they did it so well. It was just rousing when they finished that yesterday. And the audience erupted into applause. I was thinking, how do these guys not end up in the finals? Now, I'll tell you, let's go over a little bit more of their background, which I think is relevant also to why they may have done well. They were founded a decade ago, 2014. They came in second place in the Banff International String Quartet competition in 2022. They received the Norwegian Equinor Classical Music Award in 2023, but they have been playing They've played at the International Chamber Festival in Utrecht in the Netherlands, at Chamber Music Northwest, way out on the West Coast, US, in Oregon, at the East Nook Festival in Scotland, at the Jelmaru and Yonsei Chamber Music Festivals in South Korea, at the Rusk Festival in Finland. And then they've made the rounds of all the chamber music festivals in Norway, Bergen, Stavanger, Rosendal, Trondheim, etc. And they have worked with, they have some top Scandinavian musicians to get to know and work with, like Janine Jansen and Anne-Sophie van Otter. And they are founders and artistic directors of their own chamber music festival, the Vinterspill Festival in Lillehammer, Norway, each winter. So they have 10 years of playing together. That's a decade. That's more than any of the other groups. They have experience playing at festivals and concert halls at home and abroad. And they picked a great semifinals piece to play, a difficult piece, but that fourth movement is a crowd pleaser. I wasn't the only one who really loved it. So these are three things that I think are important to point out. So then let's move on to the Quartet Integra. The Quartet Integra started out in the first session playing Mozart's String Quartet number 14 in G, Kerschel 387, the Spring Quartet. And then for their choice, they played Ligeti's String Quartet number 2. Those of you who know more about string quartets and music will know what that means more than I do. Then in the second session, they played Haydn's String Quartet in B minor, Opus 33, number 1, and the Judith Weir String Quartet number 2, the Spaniard. For the semifinal, like Opus 13, they chose something straight out of the heart of the German Romantic tradition, Schumann, String Quartet in A, Opus 41, number 3. Now, they were formed not 10 years ago, but 9 years ago, 2015. Well, no, that's 10 years now. Yeah, I keep thinking it's still 2024. Way back in Japan, they were at the Toho Gakuen School of Music. They stayed together when they were all then fellows at Suntory Hall Chamber Music Academy, and now they're in the Chamber Ensemble and Residence program at the Colburn School in Los Angeles. Now, I took a look at their concert history. They've played 20 concerts since September of 2024. They started out at different concert halls and festivals in Tokyo and other cities in Japan, came back to the US and were playing in Colorado, Los Angeles, the Reno Chamber Music Festival. Then they went back to Japan again, and now here they are in London. Again, what you have is a range of performance experience. And they've won some prizes. In 2022, they won, they were at the big ARD International Festival in Germany, and they won second prize and the audience award. And then they won first prize in 2021 at the Bartok World Competition. So here you have 9 years of playing together, extensive performance at home and abroad, and a good safe pick for the semifinals piece to get them into the finals. Okay, and I have separate photos of each of them, which I was going to show you, but I didn't get around to it. So you just have to satisfy yourself with the photo that I have going there for you. Now we move on to the third of the groups. It's the Terra String Quartet. And don't worry, in the comment section, we will make sure you get the links to their websites so you can investigate further. The Terra String Quartet started out in the first round. They got the Judith Weir out of the way. They played Haydn's String Quartet in D, Opus 71, number 2, and then the Judith Weir Spaniard String Quartet. In the second session, they played Mozart's String Quartet number 15 in D minor, Kerschel 421. And for the choice of a 20th century or more modern composer, they chose Britten's String Quartet number 1 in D, Opus 25. I think that's a nice choice. I think it's a charming choice. Anyway, they're based in New York City. They came out of Juilliard, the New England Conservatory, Harvard, and the Curtis Institute of Music. And they are currently the ensemble in residence at the Yale School of Music. Sound familiar? And when you are in an ensemble in residence like this, then you also teach the undergrads. Okay, and they are also the quartet in residence at the Caramore Center for the Music and the Arts this year. So in terms of where they have performed, I found they've been to a lot of festivals and venues, again, internationally. Capital Region Classical, Rockport Music, Guarneri Hall, Chamber Music Raleigh, Randolph College, Emilia-Romagna Festival in Italy. So they've been out there in different places playing. They've also been, they got silver medal at the Melbourne International Chamber Music Competition in 2023. They got the bronze in Osaka, the International Chamber Music there. They were at Fischoff in 2022. They got the grand prize and the gold medal. And they were at Banff in 2022. But once again, what you have here is like these other groups. You have these three characteristics. They've been together longer. They have all this performance experience, and their choice for the semifinals was, again, mainline German Romantic Brahms String Quartet in C minor, Opus 51, number 1. So I see these three characteristics. Again, I'm not a musicologist, but when I look at, they share these three characteristics: they experience time playing, and experience performing. Because I think one of the issues about these competitions is, how does this work? Because I've been a performing artist myself as an actor and a lyric tenor, and I know that when you're performing for an audience, you're not performing for people with the idea that they're sitting there judging you and marking you up and down and comparing you to somebody else and seeing if you're better. It's not a competition like that. It's you're creating moments of truth and beauty to be shared with the audience. And the more you do that, the more you grow as an artist. You really do. It's one thing to say, I could just analogize as an actor, to do a performance, to rehearse in private, or even to do a few performances before a select public. It's another thing to go out and do 150 performances of a play like I've done. I mean, after the 10th or 12th, you're off into another level, because what the audiences are able to receive and appreciate, you grow into that. You literally grow into that. It cannot be any difference with artists in the other performing arts, which is one reason why these festivals are so stimulating, because when you're performing at a festival, the people that are there, they love what you're doing. When you perform on a Thursday night in Paris or London or New York or Berlin or Osaka, you got people there, they're hungry, they haven't been to dinner yet, or their wife or their husband dragged them along, or their friends were going. It's not the same audience at all. And so performing at festivals in front of these invested audiences, it builds you as a performing artist, and you grow into what the imagination and hearts and minds and souls of these audiences will let you go into. And I'm not sure how that works when then you put in a competitive setting. But I will say this: the growth you have as an audience by doing so much performing, as these three finalists did, it must feed into enhancing their ability to perform in a competition. I just don't see how it cannot do so. So for me, none of these three are a surprise. It would surprise me that, say, some of their competitors, the other three finalists, for instance, the Viatores Quartet was just founded in 2023. They're just getting started. The Caterina String Quartet a year earlier, 2022. And currently they're serving as a graduate resident quartet at Juilliard. But when you look at their performance history as well, they do a lot of performing at community centers in New York City, because that's a condition of their being the resident quartet at Juilliard, or a fellowship they have there. The Quartet Hannah is a little older, founded in April 2019, but I do not see that they have an extensive record of performing at a lot of festivals or concert halls in Germany or outside of Germany. So I think these factors, they do make a difference. Anyway, I hope that this was not an unuseful exercise in taking a look at, well, what are the qualifications and experience of these performers, and what kind of smart choices did they make in terms of the semifinal piece they chose. And just to mention that before we're done, both the Viatores Quartet and the Quartet Hannah in the semifinals, they chose to play Dvorak's String Quartet in G, Opus 106. And that, it's a lovely piece, but what you will hear the musicologists say about it is it doesn't have as clear a structure and a through line for performing as the Brahms, the Schumann, and the Schubert provided for you. I mean, those Germans, they were just like you know. And the Catarina String Quartet, they also sort of went a little bit off the reservation, playing Verdi's String Quartet in E minor. The safe things to play were the German Romantics. And I think the proof is in the pudding, because those are your winners. All three of them chose something like that: Schubert, Schumann, and Brahms. So that's what I can give you for these three finalists. I hope that it will be enlightening for you. I will make sure that we put in the links to their individual websites, so you can look that up more, and this can be a little bit of a companion piece. The Wigmore Hall has done a terrific job live streaming all of this free of charge. We will put in the link also in the description area where you can donate if you want to help them along in doing it, because it's free of charge, but they need money to keep doing it, and it's fantastic what they're doing from one of the top chamber music venues in the entire world, if not the top one, according to people in the UK. So enjoy that tonight if you see it, and if you do watch on YouTube, look for Access Arts Live in the chat box. We are likely to be there. There's a whole gang of lovely people that have been frequenting that chat box all through the competition. They know a lot more musicologically than I do, and you can find out all kinds of stuff by chatting with them. So ciao for now. I'll be back tomorrow at the usual time. Also, I never know how to shut up, but we also put out a separate notice on all of our platforms of everything else that is being live streamed today. So if you don't want to watch this, remember, Fabian Müller is playing 4 Beethoven sonatas for Stage Plus at 4 o'clock in the afternoon in Europe. Then at 5 o'clock, Baptiste Florian, Mal Ouvrard, will be playing Charles Marie Widor's Symphony No. 6 at St. Eustache Church, and he's terrific. And that's a lovely piece. And then if you're into Bach, the top cellist Alban Gerhardt is playing all of Bach's cello suites for 92 New York at 8 o'clock in the evening, European time, 2 in the afternoon in the United States. And those are just a few of the other great live streams that you have available to you today. So thanks for tuning in to this live stream, for those of you who did tune in for the live stream. And if you find this as a recording, I still think it will be helpful to you. We're just, like, as I said, Wigmore has done a fantastic job with this, putting out great information. And this was just an attempt on the part of Access Arts Live to provide a little contribution of what we did not see, which was not a lot of information about the performing artists themselves in the Wigmore materials that we could find. But maybe somebody else could find them. I make mistakes all the time, every day, every live stream. So ciao for now. I will be back tomorrow at roughly 6 in the evening for next week's roundup of big stage production, opera, ballet, and symphonic and large choral work.